I have plenty of other games to get through, but after talking about Driver and recognizing that Driver San Francisco was just calmly waiting for me to play in the OnLive console, I decided to make a quick video about it. This video would have been made sooner, but I suspect that the majority of the minority that actually played this game only did so to compare it to the real San Francisco. And this'll be no different.
I recently claimed to be an OG gamer, calling out anybody who hadn't played Driver. I don't care if you weren't born yet. I'm handing that trophy back in. Sure, I played the original Driver, but I wasn't any good at it. Anytime that answering machine said no tail, I was screwed. Plenty of Driver games have appeared in the past decade, but this is the first one to take place entirely in San Francisco. And this is the first one I've touched since Driver because I've fulfilled my driving needs elsewhere for many years. John Tanner is an undercover cop, the same John Tanner undercover cop from Driver, and is set to witness the extradition of the criminal Jericho. There seems to be some continuation of plot lines from the other drivers because I ain't got a clue about this guy. I must say, this game does an excellent job of mixing FMVs with game footage. John and his partner, Afro McTanner then John Tanner, are sitting in their bullet monitoring the transportation of Jericho. Now, obviously, he escapes custody. That's how we even have a game. In the following pursuit/tutorial, John chases Jericho and subsequently wrecks the bullet.
And this is where it gets a little weird. In all fairness, it's a video game, and expecting realism is a logical fallacy. But for a game with a real city in its name, with real landmarks, and the charm of driving in a real place, you wouldn't quite expect a sci-fi twist like this.
The wreck puts John Tanner into a coma, and to sum things up quickly, he can now quantum leap into the driver's seat of any car in the city. This allows him to be on an IV drip while driving on the sidewalk. John uses this ability to track down Jericho and unravel his dastardly plan, but also for side missions, or rather, filler. Now I swear to you, the wording in the game is, to help the people of San Francisco, when really you're just competing in illegal street races, scaring driving instructors, and destroying property. The side missions are actually fun and creative, so I can't knock it too much. And again, body jumping isn't a bad idea for a game. It's just when I hear Driver San Francisco, I imagine chasing down the bad guys around Golden Gate Park. If the game was Sam Beckett's San Francisco, then it would fit right in. I found that an explanation of gameplay is closely tied to an explanation of why this game is rated T. You're a driver, so you never leave the car. Physically, that is. Spiritually, you can hover anywhere. Except Marin County. With your butt glued to the seat, you cannot harm anyone with your hands. It is truly a driving game. You'll drive to your destination within a time limit, or with the intent of destruction, sometimes both. Some passengers joke that you're gonna splatter pedestrians across the hood, but that programmatically can't happen. What about cops? Can you mistreat cops? Well, you are the cops. So how's the driving in Driver? I grew up in the Cascade Mountains of Oregon. With that experience, I can confidently say that this feels like driving on snow. Let me share the moment when this game became nearly unplayable. Chapter 2. The mission is called The Big Break, and you jump into the body of a chauffeur for a music producer. To prevent a gang from busting up the party, you have to drive over signs promoting our client's concert. Signs add time to your clock. Now add this to the equation. There is no possible way for me to go around these turns at speeds that make winning possible. I beat the God of War 3 Challenges of Olympus, and that crap was easier than this game. I don't understand the need to make cars handle like the wheels are made of graphite. What's the use of this? Why do I have to burn out on every startup? Well, Storm, you need to drive slower because the driving is realistic. You're reenacting Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Don't talk to me about realism. You want to know how I beat the mission? I cheated!
You cheated back!
Well, not cheating in the sense of entering a code for infinite time. That would be lame. Plus, those don't exist anymore. Nah, Driver San Francisco never presents itself as the kind of game that encourages critical thinking. But the only way I found to complete the Big Break was to exploit the rule of you don't have to hit all the signs, skip the turns, and beeline towards the end destination on a different route. It's still a good game. I applaud the developers for sticking with the driving setup. I also applaud them for coming up with a wacky replacement for stealing cars. I made it all the way to Chapter 4, and by then I unlocked most of the Bay Area. At the point when I was racing a European sports car on a dirt track, I figured I've had enough.
Now, I want to make this very clear. I'm not claiming to be an expert on San Francisco. I mean, I'm a resident of Nevada. I just want to recount the trip that Sarah and I made to see the Mindless Self-Indulgence concert. To enter San Francisco from I-80, you would take the Bay Bridge, and right off the riff, I see a discrepancy. The Bay Bridge is a double-decker. This obviously isn't. I suppose that would have made the demonic possessions a little bit difficult to program. Okay, take the first exit to Fremont. These streets aren't exactly labeled. Whatever, I guess I'll call this our hotel. The next day, Sarah and I walked on California Street to reach Chinatown, and you can see that here. But along the way, I took this sweet picture. Yeah, freehand. Let's try to duplicate that shot. California Street doesn't exist. Later on, we walked to Fisherman's Wharf and took pictures of Alcatraz. Kinda hard to see when you can't access the beach. Then we took Lombard Street in an attempt to get close to the Golden Gate Bridge. But we only got as far as the Industrial Light and Magic campus before it started raining, and we had to run back to Mel's Drive-In to avoid getting soaked. Destructoid is based in San Francisco. I talked to the head robot myself, and he gave me permission to show off where the headquarters is. Right here. Let's get a wider shot. Lately I've been searching Pacific Heights, and I think I found out where Mr. Tanner lives. Possibly with his 3 daughters. Get it? Tanner household? Full House? Starring Bob Saget? Good night, Michelle? And this is a little bit odd. Westbound, the Bay Bridge should continue on into Oakland. But I understand, this game needs to be self-contained. If you wanted to play Driver Oakland, well, that would just be Saints Row. Let's see, this looks like 2nd Street, so that's the IGN building. For Destructoid!
Jesus Christ, Gary,